Okay, hello guys. Welcome to Many Mistakes Ago podcast. As you can see, I am in a completely different place. I'm actually at my girlfriend's apartment. So ignore all of this stuff because I'm literally set up in the guest bedroom. Um where she so kindly set up a whole desk for me and everything. But I just wanted to hop on here and record the podcast because I have so much to say in regards to this podcast. And I had a little bit of time to record, so I figured why not. Some things I want to note is that my girlfriend does have a dog. So if you hear a dog barking, that is Sadie. Um, Ignore her. She is fine. She probably just sees another animal outside of the blinds. Um, and I'm also allergic to her dog, so I literally sound like shit. So I do apologize. We're gonna work through that. And hopefully, whenever I have the time to record the next episode, will be good. But I do want to say that this is going to be posted on January 17th, and I'm recording this in December because I'm going away to see my parents for Christmas, and I really want to just spend time with them and not have to like record podcasts. Which who knows, maybe I will end up recording podcasts while I'm there. I'm not really sure yet, but again, we'll see. Um my thought process is I want to have that time with them and enjoy it with them. And if they're working, I'm going to like read or do podcast notes or stuff like that and then come back and bang out some recordings. But this episode is going to be released after I come back from my vacation. So I'm giving myself a little bit of wiggle room to be a responsible adult. I am. um but that being said, you're not gonna have like an accurate life update from me. So when I say this, just know that this is December. But I actually don't have a job right now, and I'm going to see my parents and spend time with them, quality time with them, which I'm really gonna love. With it being the holidays and I miss my family, but it still kind of sucks because I am so focused on social media. I've been applying to jobs and stuff like that, but I really don't want to do them, if that makes sense. Like, I genuinely would love to work in social media somehow. I just don't know how I'm going to go about that or how how it works per se. I just know that I'm doing what I love by podcasting as much as I do, putting out weekly episodes. I've been reading up on different things, reading articles, books, listening to other podcasts, getting content ideas, and I literally have a list up until 2025 of podcast ideas and episodes that I want to cover. So with that being said, like I'm really like excited for 2024, but I'm super nervous about what's to come because I don't know what job I'm going to have next and I don't know what it's going to look like for me. I'm going to continue manifesting what I want for 2024, but again, like I have to wait for things to come into fruition. And not only with that, I also have to put in the work. So me podcasting, me doing the vlogs, which by the time I post this, there will be vlogs on my YouTube, if you're not already watching this on YouTube. But I have so many ideas of what I want to do, and I love having social media as a creative outlet. Um, that I'm like hopeful that I can just make a job out of this. But again, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just kind of doing what I love and leaving the rest up to the universe, so to speak. But now that I've talked y'all's ears off for almost 5 minutes, let's get into the episode of why we should self reflect. Okay, I'm pretty sure I already mentioned this, but I have allergies to my girlfriend's dog, so I am dying. and I'm recording at my girlfriend's house. I have no idea if I said this already. If I did, I'm sorry. But so y'all are just gonna hear me like this for the whole podcast. All right. So one thing I want to mention about self reflection is that it allows us to evaluate our words and actions and become aware of how we can do better. Normally, a good example of this would be if you're in a fight with your significant other, let's say, and you said something and now you're reflecting on it, you are going to figure out how you said that, why you said that, and you're going to also figure out where it stems from and kind of connect the dots or the lines or whatever you want to call it. And to the point where you can understand if it stems from childhood trauma, previous relationship trauma, if it stems from an ex, or if it just stems from some insecurity or something that you need to work on. Um, Evaluating the situations and the words and actions in those situations, and then learning how to do better next time, whether it be with the same partner, a different situation, whatever it may be. It is important to be patient in the process of self reflection because we are becoming aware of our emotional and behavioral processes in this time. We are essentially tearing down all that we've learned and have come to know in order to build a better process. So, building and rebuilding things, including ourselves, takes a lot of time and also effort, of course. But it's important to be patient because it does take time to rebuild ourselves. Um, it is also important to note that every single day is a new opportunity to work on yourself, to follow your dreams, and to work on your goals. So every single day that you wake up is a new opportunity. And I keep that in mind because sometimes we do make so much progress, but progress and healing is not linear. And I'm pretty sure I've said that before, but essentially, let's say you made so much progress and you're not patient with yourself, and then you do something to screw up and you are beating yourself up over it. That is not going to help you. You are going to essentially backslide and tear down yourself when you should be looking back, thinking, wow, look at how far I've come. It's okay to look back and be disgusted at old versions of you, but like in that moment, if you mess up, you say, hey, I messed up, but this is a chance for me to learn. This is a chance for me to self reflect and figure out how to do better next time. You are setting yourself up for your future self. And that is a constant. If there is one thing that I've learned is that every time I used to beat myself up over something, I would get so stuck in that cycle that I wouldn't actually take the time to reflect and learn from my mistakes so that I could apply it for a future version of myself. Um, okay, here is the next note that I literally just basically said, but we're going to say it anyway. Healing is not linear, nor will your journey be. Everything, including hurt and pain, comes in waves. It is a reminder that living life and life in and of itself is a constant journey and things constantly change and evolve all the time. So with that being said, um we are constantly growing and learning and having new situations and new patterns come into play. And you are going to fail. You're going to get kicked down. You're going to stand back up and you're going to fix. You're going to repeat so many patterns. You're going to go through a hell of a lot of stuff. And it's important that you recognize that healing is not linear. Nothing is linear. Your journey is going to look different every single time, and it's going to look different from other people as well. we as people go through a hell of a lot, and we somehow make it through. Some of us better than others, I must say, but that's why we make mistakes. We're human. And that's why I love this podcast, because I can openly talk about mistakes and recognize that I'm human just as much as anyone else is. And recognize that I have put myself down for things that I now choose to look at differently. Obviously, if I do something that I shouldn't have, I'm going to look at it in a different light, like not positive, um, but not negative either. Just kind of look at it more neutrally, in the sense that I'm not beating myself up, but I'm not giving myself praise for something that I shouldn't be. So essentially, if I do something wrong, I look at it very neutrally and understand that it's an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to change and be a better version of myself. Okay, with that being said, though, the good times and the bad times come in waves, right? As our processes, as our healing, everything comes in waves. So, one thing I do want to mention, even though I'm going kind of like bouncing around, is that you need to be able to sit in the hard times to know that the good times will come again, and enjoy and romanticize the good times as they come. So, um, with healing, you know, how do I put this? When you have bad times in your healing process and your reflection process on top of that, it is important that you don't avoid the pain with distraction or shutting down, drugs, alcohol, however you avoid. It's important not to avoid the pain. You need to take the time to feel your pain, sit in that pain, and heal it in a healthy way. And remember that it's perfectly fine to be alone when you're in your healing phase, because only you can fix you. So let's say you're single, it is completely okay. You do not need a partner to help you through this process. It is it is something to say about you if you are able to go through a healing journey alone. A lot of people do, and it is really a struggle. But to its completion, none of us are fully healed. I fully am convinced that we all always have something to learn. We're never 100% healed. Oh my god, I am dying here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I have no idea if that was off camera or not, but I'm gonna pretend like it was. If it wasn't, hi. That was probably disgusting, but my allergies are absolutely killing me, and I really needed to blow my nose. So, let's get through this so I can finish and go wash my hands and do whatever I need to do. So okay, with healing, it's important to fully be immersed in the healing process versus distraction, going out, partying, all that jazz. It it is not good to set yourself up to struggle in the bad times, because you're already in the bad times. Why are you going to make it worse for yourself? When you are sitting in the bad times, you want to be fully aware that you are in the bad times and recognize that it will pass, but you have to put in the work to make it a better time. And when you're in the good times, it's important to romanticize it, whether it be your morning cup of coffee, you just taste it a little bit slower. You go outside and you breathe in the fresh air a little bit longer. Whatever the case may be, you want to start romanticizing the good things as they come, because sometimes we really take for granted just the tiniest little things that we really could help lift our spirits and be in a better mood with like just those little things, like a morning cup of coffee. Like nothing beats it. You know what I mean? I mean, there are things that beat a morning cup of coffee, but if you treat your life that way, where you're like romanticizing your cup of coffee and you're like, nothing beats this cup of coffee, like you are literally going to start manifesting good into your life. Which again, I know we're not in manifesting mode, but my mind is in manifesting mode, so I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. But when you are reflecting on those moments, you can reflect on the good times and be like, I want to get back there. How? You have to change your mindset. And with changing your mindset, you have to self reflect in order to figure out how to change your mindset. So it's all kind of one big pile of like how to work on yourself, so to speak. Um, anyway, another thing I want to mention is that with me saying that healing isn't linear and that our processes are not linear and that it can go up and down like a roller coaster for all I care, it can literally go in little spirals. However, you see it, it is always okay to start over again in your process. This goes with starting over your healing journey. This goes with starting over a new friendship, maybe leaving that friendship and finding better friendships for you. This goes with relationships, whatever it may be, it is always okay to start over, no matter what the topic is. True freedom and true bliss is being free from the things and or people that no longer serve us. We need to be willing to let go of whatever it is in life that we need to let go of and trust the process with our lives, so to speak. So, let's say I like friendships as an example because I don't like to put bad juju on a relationship. So I go with friendships as an example, but let's say you have a friendship that is just no longer serving you. Maybe you need to let that person go. Maybe they were only here to teach you a lesson. Maybe your lesson is learning how to let go. Whatever the case may be, you have to trust that if in your intuition that you feel like this person is no longer serving you and they're not right for you and you need to have that friendship breakup, so to speak, do it. Trust the process and trust that whatever you're letting go of will make room for better. Because if we hold on to things and are unwilling to let go, we're not making room for what's good for us. And I can even use that as like my job, for example. I wanted to hold on so bad to a job that was making me miserable, but now I'm like recording a podcast and I'm super happy and I enjoy speaking and enjoy taking notes and learning and then sharing what I've learned. You can't get that with a normal job. So I love that I have the time that I'm able to do this for. And I'm not taking it for granted. I'm appreciating me podcasting, recording, editing, if I were to edit my podcast, but maybe vlogging. I'll be editing my vlogs, so that's a little bit different. But I'm enjoying the processes as they come, and I'm enjoying every second that I would have otherwise taken for granted. I'm enjoying being able to listen to other podcasts, read books, and figure out what I want to share with you guys, how I want to share it. Adding additional platforms, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. These are things that I would have never imagined last year, that I would have been like, no, you're crazy. I'm not going to do video podcasting. That is just too much. I'm going to be insecure about how I look and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm doing it. I am so confident in the fact that this is something that I love and that I can share with you guys that I would have never, ever, ever imagined. And I'm just starting all over, right? I had a version of this podcast that no longer exists, the beta version, if you will. no longer exists. And I am doing so much better in my own personal opinion because I've put in the work, because I've self-reflected on those episodes and what I could do better for new episodes. I've really like taken the time, the energy, and the work. I've put in the work to be able to do something that I love and make it easy for myself. Obviously not easy in the sense that I enjoy what I do. Obviously there's work to put into it, but it just comes together so seamlessly, it seems like at times. You know, whatever comes out in my brain for a podcast idea, if I hear somebody else's podcast and they said something and I'm like, wow, I want to make sure other people hear that, I'm going to bring that up in my podcast. Um, Whatever the case may be, like I'm just constantly learning and growing and coming up with ideas and sharing them, and it just means a lot to me to be able to have start over my podcast and do it right this time in the way that I feel like I might reach more people, or sound better in terms of, just not being so toxic or um trying to start drama or stir the pot or anything like that. Like I genuinely am here because I love to talk with you guys and I love to share what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, give advice if I can, and really just make this something worth something, if you will. Okay. Going back to freedom and letting go and trusting the process, it is also important to have emotional freedom. So the ability to interact freely with others and empathize with their struggles without becoming emotionally affected. Now, I struggle with this because I genuinely love and care for the people in my life, but I have to realize that I don't need to be affected by it. I've had friendships, relationships where I don't allow myself the emotional freedom, where I feel their pain, and it is a lot and it weighs on me. But one thing that I'm going to work on in 2024 is the ability to empathize and support and be there for the people that I love without being emotionally affected myself. I don't need to feel their pain. I need to understand their pain. I don't need to go through their pain. I need to sympathize and empathize with their pain. There's strong differences in these factors, and I feel like a lot of us tend to cling on to other people's pain and go down with them. You can support them and sit in the mud with them, if you will, but you don't have to feel what they're feeling unless it's actually affecting you. But most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, like, you don't need to be emotionally affected as well. And that is going to take a lot. But if there's one thing I could tell you guys is that however you are able to achieve emotional freedom, I hope that you do it. Setting boundaries is an extremely important part in that. Being able to set your own boundaries and what makes you comfortable and how you are able to be friends with people or have a relationship with someone without them affecting your mood as well and your emotions as well. It's okay to like be sad if somebody's going through it and empathize with them, sympathize, but to actively like be emotionally affected by what they're going through, it's it's not something that you want to do, because if you're emotionally affected by other people, you're just going to constantly be drained from other people. And that's something I've struggled with for a very, very long time, is being emotionally drained by other people. And when I can self reflect, I realized that I lacked boundaries, which is why I always felt what other people were feeling, and it was very easy to manipulate me because I would feel so strongly about someone or something, and I would be so emotionally affected by them, and I wouldn't have that emotional freedom. So I was easily manipulated in relationships, mostly, sometime in friendships, but mostly in relationships, where my partner could see me struggling with them, and they took that as a sign of, I care for them maybe a little bit too much. I'm going to take advantage of that. um so in that self-reflection, I learned that I need to set clear boundaries with myself and with other people. So in terms of setting boundaries with myself, I'm not putting up a wall, so to speak, but I'm setting a boundary of having that emotional connection be strong, yet not affecting me. So, whatever that looks like for you, for me, it looks like I might take a step back, so to speak. If somebody is going through something, I'm going to process what they're going through more intellectually and understand that it's not my problem, it's their problem. If I can support them, yes, absolutely. However, if I feel it affecting me or draining me, I need to evaluate that and figure out my best course of action, whether that be taking space, whether that be removing myself from a situation completely. Whatever setting those boundaries and following through with those boundaries looks like for you, it's important to do that, because you will be emotionally affected if you're not setting boundaries. Um, which again, you learn in self reflection what you need. And in that moment, I knew I needed boundaries when I was self reflecting. So that's another thing that self reflection can do, like I just said, is figuring out what you need to do better. So self reflection is um, analyzing your words and behaviors, figuring out what they mean, figuring out where they stem from, and figuring out what you need to do better and how to fix it from there on out. So that kind of completes that cycle, so to speak. A good reminder is that you are never going to be perfect in everyone's eyes, right? Even Taylor Swift has haters, guys. What matters is that you love and accept yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the only one living with yourself, right? You could be in a relationship, you could be in a partnership, you could be married, whatever. But at the end of the day, that person dies, that person leaves you, you leave that person, whatever the case may be, you are still stuck with yourself. At the end of the day, you are the only one living with yourself, and you should be able to love and accept yourself and be able to live with yourself. So, figure out the best version of yourself and how you can be that best version, because I promise you, you are going to want to be happy with the version of yourself that you are. And if you're not, keep working on it. Keep working on it till you get there. I think that we're always going to constantly learn and grow, and that we're always going to be better versions of ourselves. But there comes a point where there is a version of ourselves that we are happy with, and we can build from there. um, I think at my point in life, I'm happy with the person that I am becoming. I don't think I'm fully there, which is ironic because I felt like at one point I did reach that point of happiness and contentment. But then I realized, and I self reflected, and I realized that I do have more flaws that I want to work on, that I would be happier if I worked on myself, in certain ways. And it's not me chasing something that's not attainable and I'm never going to be happy or content with myself. It's just that I can recognize flaws in myself and say that I am happy that I am a better person, and that I know that I can do better, and that I have the ability to know that, I guess. Okay, more little tidbits that I want to talk about is that expressing your emotions and vulnerability is not weak. You need to be able to express your emotions in a healthy manner. For me, a long, long time, it took very long for me to learn this, and it shouldn't have. I need space, mental, emotional, and physical space. I need to shut down in a little black hole of my apartment, do nothing, speak to nobody, and process my emotions. Because if I don't, I will act on my reactions, right? I will react however my light switch reactions are, and they're not pleasant. So for me, I learned that I need that space in order to intellectualize my feelings and then continue from there. Otherwise, I'm going to react on those feelings and it's going to be an emotional thing and it's not going to look good because I can recognize that space that I'm now taking is because I've reflected, because I've worked on myself, and that I don't want to revert back to that emotional reaction that just switches and doesn't do me any good. Another point I want to make is that you can be a duality of many things. And this is what makes humans so interesting and so great. You can be strong yet fragile, right? You can be, God, that was the only example I put. You can be smart, but maybe dumb in other areas. Not to belittle yourself, of course, but you can be a duality of two things. You can be happy and sad. You can be frustrated and excited. You could be multiple things. You can be a duality of things. Not all of those were the best examples, mind you. I think strong yet fragile is the best one yet because it's the only one I wrote down and actually thought about before recording this podcast. But you can be a duality of things, and that is completely okay, and that is normal, and that is human. We experience so many emotions, we are bound to have more than one emotion at once, and that's okay. Okay. Another point that I want to make is when we are talking about other people, whether it be a partner, um, like romantic connection, platonic connection, whatever connection you're thinking of, you cannot control anybody else. And when you know that, life becomes a lot easier. You can only control you, just like you only live with you. You can only control your reactions to things. You can't control other people's reactions to things. You can't control their mindset. You can't control what they're thinking, what they're feeling, nothing. You cannot control that person whatsoever. You cannot control anything but yourself. So, with that being said, persuading somebody to see things your way is not going to work. Maybe you have like a gift, the power of persuasion, if you will. I don't like manipulation. I fully believe that if it's not a yes, it's a no. Whether it's not knowing, I don't know, confusion, a maybe, it's a no. You need to make sure that you are setting yourself up to be the best version of yourself, which means knowing your worth. And if somebody doesn't see something your way, don't convince them. Don't. It's not your job. You are only in control of you. Self-reflection taught me that I cannot control other people. I cannot control what they want, what they need, nothing. If we are not on the same page, that is not my problem. That is not their problem. That is our problem that we can either choose to work on if we so want it to be. But if we don't care, we don't have to. Not everything needs to be repaired, not everything needs to be fixed. Sometimes you just need to let go and let the universe take over, right? And that's what I mean about like relationships or friendships that no longer serve you. If they don't see things your way, it's okay to let it go. That took me so long because I always wanted other people to understand me and I always felt misunderstood to the point where I would over explain myself over and over and over because I felt like what I was trying to say was not coming out right. But now that I've grown older and learned that some people are just trying to misunderstand you, some people just don't, and that's okay. We are going to find our people in life, whether that be through a dating app or website or social media or at a bookstore, at a concert, some local event, cooking class, whatever it may be. We will find our people and we will mesh well with our people. But don't force a connection. Don't force a certain reaction. It's don't try to persuade anyone. We are meant to live our lives the happiest we can. And the more time we spend thinking about other people, the less time we spend thinking about ourselves. The more time we spend pleasing other people, the less time we spend making ourselves happy, which is the goal. We need to be working on ourselves. We need to make sure we are happy. And the good things that are meant for us will come to us. Until then, self reflect, figure out who you want to be, and go from there. If you are constantly anxious about someone when you're not even with them, if you're questioning their friendship, their romantic side, their loyalty, their honesty, they're not for you. Let the things that deserve to be in your life come to you. It's very important that we self reflect, that we realize where we are going wrong so that we can figure out how to let the good things come to us. How do we open that door? Another thing that you can do with self reflection is figure out your good and bad habits or how you can change a habit from a bad one to a good one. Now, I say change because I feel like it's hard to destroy patterns. So if you can change them somehow, it can do you good. For example, negative thoughts. Instead of saying those negative thoughts, when they come up in your mind, change them into good ones. That's a very simple change, if you will. And I say simple in quotations because obviously everything is easier said than done, but that's just an example. Let's say I'm in a bad habit of self-isolating. Anytime I am self-isolating because I'm depressed, whatever the reason, as long as it's not that I need that self-isolation time, if I'm self-isolating as a bad habit, I need to become aware of that and make plans. Whether I go out and socialize or I hang out with a friend, I go watch a movie with a friend, I go out to eat with a friend, I call up my girlfriend and tell her I need some time with her, just get myself out there, right? If I find myself self isolating, I need to change that bad habit by doing the opposite, by doing something good for myself. Let's say self doubting. I'm changing those negative thoughts into more positive thoughts. So let's say, oh, I'm really fat. Okay, well, that's negative and doubting yourself and not going to put you in a good cycle. Say, hey, I want to be healthy, so I'm going to start going to the gym. Start going to the gym. I'm going to start eating healthy now, and building those good habits from those bad habits. Not thinking logically, spiraling. How do you stop that? Stop those thoughts as they're actively happening and try to find something positive that you can change those thoughts into. Obviously, easier said than done, right? This is literally a type of therapy, if I'm not mistaken. Think about how to change those thoughts and those bad habits. Good habits could be something creative like writing or creating content, um, listening to music, reading a book, journaling, um, maybe going off of social media or limiting your social media use, keeping up with your friends, not self isolating, making new friends, maybe finding friends that fit in with your lifestyle or the person that you want to become, whatever the case may be. Finding ways to change those habits, and on top of that, keeping those good habits. So maybe building a routine around those habits. Let's say you like to journal. Maybe journal the first thing when you wake up. Social media is a problem. Okay, don't go on your phone, right away. Maybe try not to go on social media, or just stay away from your phone if you can. Accountability for waking up early, maybe taking a picture with the timestamp, or um, having some sort of morning routine that gets you to stay on those healthy habits. Um, so self reflection is important because you're looking at those bad habits and how to change them actively. Um, what else do I want to say? That's pretty much all of my notes. I'm not gonna lie, but this one I wrote, I think I don't know how I came up with this one, or if I heard someone else from a podcast say it, but I have: true love is pure acceptance. This is important to have in a relationship with others, but it definitely starts with yourself. So, true love is pure acceptance. And I'm a full believer in this, right? Because when we love somebody and we accept them for exactly who they are, no changes, it's coming from a pure intentioned place. If you say that you love someone and you're constantly trying to fix them and change things about them, you don't love them for them. You love how you can improve them. And don't get me wrong, we all have bad habits or see bad habits in our partner that we wish we could change. I'm talking like, how do I put this? Like, there's just like some things that you just can't change about somebody, and you have to accept that and love that. And if you do, that is great. But if you don't, make sure you're with them for the right reasons. And true acceptance, pure acceptance, and true love does start within yourself, because if you don't love yourself and accept yourself for who you are, you're going to have a hell of a time. You are going to have so much trouble and struggle being able to be in a relationship with somebody else because you don't even accept you yet. I waited to have a girlfriend because I didn't accept myself being gay. I'm so serious. I was in denial for so long. I kept dating men thinking I'm going to find the right man. People say that all the time. No, that's not how it works. It really isn't. I knew I liked girls from the age of 13, and I told myself if I just found the right man, everything would be fine. I would be able to just call myself bisexual and move on. That's not how it works. I promise you, that's not how it works. I waited until I worked on myself, until I reflected on my past, my childhood trauma, my relationship trauma, trauma with parents, whatever I needed to work through in order to truly accept my sexuality and myself and have that true love and pure acceptance for myself. And yes, I might not be the most confident person, but I can confidently say that I am a lesbian and I have no issues with who I am dating. I don't want to date a man. I want to date a woman. I am dating a woman. And I am so happy that I have come to that realization and I've come to that acceptance, because it does take some people so long to love and accept themselves. Some people don't figure it out until they're in their 40s, 50s, you know? And I can say that for me, I am just so thankful that I have come to that conclusion and that I can start to live life the way that I want to. Hell, I didn't even plan on being here this long. I thought I was going to off myself at 16, 10 years ago. Yeah, almost 10 years ago, actually, at this point. And I'm so glad that I'm here today and that I've accepted who I am, because it is not easy to live life. It is not easy to go through life. And if we can figure out how to be happy and love ourselves and accept ourselves, that is pure gold, you guys. It is just like an amazing feeling that you can internally be happy and have happiness and joy and be able to spread that. And I have never been the way that I am now. And that is a good thing. I know that I have been working on myself. I know that I've been doing well. I know that even though I have some flaws to me, I can love and accept the person that I have become and love and accept the person that I'm becoming as well. So, if that little spiel at the end, if pure acceptance and true love is not your goal, I don't know what is. I'm so genuinely like that. If that doesn't sell you on why you should be self reflecting and why self reflection is so important, I don't know what will. Because there is nothing better than being happy. There is nothing better than pure acceptance and true love. There is just nothing better. Nothing beats it, especially when it's for yourself. So if you can take anything about why self-reflection is important, it's for moments like these. Feeling true love and acceptance for yourself. Feeling happy, not feeling like you're gonna cry or yeet yourself or anything, just feeling happy in the moment. Knowing that there might be things that you need to work on. There might be, you might be able to do better in terms of like the version of yourself. But knowing that you can accept yourself for who you are right now, and know that it's also okay to continue working on yourself, and that it's okay to start over if you need to. If you fall down, pick yourself back up. If you fail, pick yourself back up. It is completely okay. And I am so happy to be in a point where I can turn a negative into a positive if I need to. I can have that negative, sit in that negative, intellectualize that negative, feel that negative, and figure out how to turn it into a positive, how to turn something bad into something good. I lost my job. Okay, time to work on social media. Time to do something that makes me happy. Time to be creative. Guys, do y'all know that I have like a poetry book that I was working on years ago? I have a book that I was working on years ago. Guess who has the time to do it? Me. I'm going to be applying for jobs, but in the meantime, I can expand my social media, I can be more active, and I can see if I can make money out of it. Maybe I can do something that makes me happy. Maybe I can change my career field. I am in school, so I am planning on changing my career field eventually. However, my point is trying to find positive from whatever negative is going on. That is the goal. And self reflection helps do that. It is so important to self reflect because how else are you going to turn a negative into a positive? Please, I would love to know. How are you going to do it? Start today. Literally, make a list of all of your bad habits. Figure out how you can make that into a good habit. Do you self isolate? Yes? Okay. How can you change that bad habit? Do you self doubt? Yes? Okay. How can you change that? What thoughts are you going to tell yourself instead? Think about it. If I could give you a task, make a bad habits list. Make a good habits list and see if you can tie that good habit that you already have from a bad habit. Sometimes, right? Like sometimes, let's say you do struggle with self doubting, but you started saying mantras in the mirror. Okay. And now you need to connect them. So every time you self doubt, go to the mirror and say a mantra. Figure out what works best for you and how you can build healthy habits because I promise you they will change your life. Okay. I have talked y'all's ears off enough. I'm just very passionate about this one. This one I felt was a really good one. And I will see you guys next time on episode 21, which actually is going to be a review, sort of, on a book about working on attachment styles. I'm really excited for attachment styles because we're going to get into more relationship-y stuff in terms of attachment styles and tackling intimacy with ourselves and with our partners. Um, and then we'll get into like life changes. So we'll talk about signs that you're ready for like a life change. And then we'll get into like appreciating life, loving life, changing your life, what you're grateful for, and just like kind of like a transformative part of the podcast. Um, so we're going to get into all of those topics. And all of those topics just really kind of stem from this episode. So that's why I'm really excited to get this one out there so y'all can figure out how to transform yourself from here. And it's perfect because it's January when I'm going to be posting this. We're going to go on a whole journey of transforming ourselves, loving ourselves, getting rid of bad habits, figuring out how to make new good habits stick. And I'm just so excited for this one, you guys. I hope you loved it. If you did, leave me a review, rate my podcast, send me DMs, send me messages. I've got everything in the description that you possibly could think of. Please, please, please take advantage of social media and let me know how you feel. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next episode of Many Mistakes Ago.